Our question of the day comes from John in Australia. Wow, cool. What do you think of offering equity to non-owners? I'm the CEO of a general practitioner's practice, similar to family physicians in the U.S., with 40 GPs working with us. I'm considering offering equity to them, but wanted to get your thoughts. John, I don't know enough about what is customary in that situation in your particular world. In the U.S., an equity position among a group of medical doctors, for instance, owning a practice together, is a fairly standard thing. Like 4 docs or 5 docs open a practice, and they are the owners of it. And you could buy in or buy out. A new guy could come in or gal can come in, and that kind of a thing. And that's a fairly standard process. And there seems to be a good enough model for how those operate in the U.S. that I don't see a ton of those things melting down. The other organization that does that fairly well in the U.S. is attorneys. You can, quote, make partner, and that in a sense makes you one of the partners in the firm. You're an actual owner of the firm. And so you would participate then in the ownership position. But again, if you leave, there's a buyout provision and a process that is mandatory and preset. And so there seems to be very little destruction of law firms as a result of lawyers coming and going as partners. A partner leaves and opens their own thing. They seem to be able to execute the tactical moves to cause that to happen. Every other form of business, it's a complete disaster. 2 guys opening a heat and air company together, one of them gets a divorce, you got a mess. They want to do a buyout. Number 1, they very seldom do their partnership agreement well. Number 2, anything with 2 heads is usually called a monster. And so, the partner, we always say the only ship won't sail is a partnership. So at Ramsey, I have 14 operating board members, and they are all paid very, very well off of the bottom line of the profits, the same line on the P&L I get paid off of as the owner. So they have all the benefits of being a partner income-wise, but they actually don't own any of the company. They don't have any equity in the company. And so if they leave, they just leave that income. They no longer make that money. It's very simple and very clean, and I've had a couple of them retire. I've had a couple of them go on to other things and so forth. And so over the years, I had one pass away after he left. And so, I've been through that. So I would say in almost everyone listening out there, avoid equity positions. It's an entanglement that sounds good on the going in, but very difficult going out. It's very messy going out. And that can really cause drama and cause financial strain, cash strain on everyone that's involved. And it's just not worth it. The upside is not good enough to the good parts of having equity versus just getting paid off the bottom line very well is not enough. And so we've chosen not to do it. It's not because we're selfish. We've chosen not to do it because we don't think it works as well. Now, again, you're in a medical scenario in a different country with a different culture, and it might be that you're more like a group of medical doctors here, and you can put that together there, and that's fine. But is it necessary to motivate or retain quality people to give them an equity position? Answer is no. If they're ready to leave, they're going to leave anyway. Or if they need to leave, they're going to leave anyway. So the equity position doesn't make people competent that aren't, doesn't make people behave that are misbehaving. It doesn't, it doesn't make cocaine go away, right? I mean, it does, this is the problem, right? So these are all still there. The only difference is what you've got to untangle to get there. So in general, the only ship that won't sail is a partnership. We avoid them like the plague around here. We suggest people avoid them. And if you're not going to avoid it, make sure your agreements cover all the D's. The D's are what get you. Divorce, default. I don't want to work here anymore. That's default. Disinterest. I don't want to work here anymore. That's disinterest. Or I'm going to keep showing up but not do work while I'm here. Yeah, that's disinterest, right? Drug use, divorce, disability. This is a real sad one. But what if they weren't able to work? What do we do now with them now? You better cover that. You have what happens when the bad stuff happens as a part of the agreement. Death. I mean, if you get a divorce from your partner, if your partner, two guys start a business together, two gals start a business together, and you get a divorce, now you're working with your partner's ex because the judge awarded the stock to them. And now you're partners with your partner's ex. Now tell me that's going to be fun. That gives me a little throw up in my mouth, just saying it, okay? That's just bad news right there. So that, death, what are you going to do if somebody dies? Yeah, buy-sell agreement with insurance. See, we've got all kinds of complication now. We've got all kinds of cost involved in administrating this thing. I would avoid this, but make sure you cover all the Ds. Drug use, default, death, disability, divorce. Those are the Ds that come to mind off the top of my head. There's probably more of them. But all the bad stuff that can happen, have the plan in the agreement, in the equity agreement, so that we know how we release this mess that we've created.